Hello, lovelies. I don't know if anyone is out there or not, but hello, welcome. I hope you're here. Oh, it's been such a long time since I've done anything on YouTube, and I am like not even sure if number one, y'all can hear me, and number two, if anyone's actually there. I am. There's going to be a lot of figuring it out this month as I go. So I hope that you all are willing to stick it out with me for this crazy idea I have. I always have lots of crazy ideas, so that doesn't surprise me. Let's see. I'm gonna check. Actually, I don't know how to check if you all are hearing me. Here, let me write a message. This is so, listen, I'm old school. Let's keep it real. We're not going to pretend that I'm not. Can you hear me? If you can, please type something in the chat to let me know that you can in fact hear me. Yay! Hi Jill, hi Linda. Awesome. Fantastic. Hi Sarah. Hi Pearlan. Hi Kathy. Denise. Oh my gosh. Hi Denise. I love it. Okay. So yeah, you can hear me. Awesome. That is helpful. That's helpful to know. Just making sure I'm not just talking into the abyss at this point. All right. So I am going to chat a bit about what my plan is here for this month. And before I do that, though, well, no, let me start with that part. So hello and welcome. Glad y'all are here. If you are watching live, yay, thank you for saying yes to coming on and watching live. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about what I'm doing here, why I'm doing this, what it's all about. So I have had a YouTube channel since 2012, I think. And in that time, I've done a lot of different things on my YouTube channel. I have come and gone and started and stopped. I've had series, I've had one-offs. I've done a lot of different things on this channel. And it's been a really long time since I've been here consistently doing anything really. And that's been weighing on me off and on, different ways. And so recently, I was grappling with this idea of coming back online, coming back on YouTube. Sorry, I'm just going to put a little, my hands are feeling dry. I washed them right before this call. And so I've been grappling back and forth with this idea of coming back on YouTube. What do I talk about? What do I do? What do I share and say, and who cares anymore? Like all the things. I don't know if any of you business owners out there, or content creators, or people who do this, as a hobby, whatever your thing might be. I don't know if you often feel that of like, is this thing on? Is anybody listening? Hello out there in the abyss. So it's been an interesting thing to grapple with over the years. So I also have had so many life changes and shakeups and shakedowns and all the things. Oh, shakedowns sounds like something nefarious. No, not that kind of shakedown. But all of that to say, I'm going to try vlogging. I don't think that I've ever done that. I can't say that 100%, y'all. I don't know. I've been doing this for a while. So maybe I have done a vlogging thing before, but my goal with this particular series in the month of April is to show up every single day live. This first one is on a Monday, and Mondays are my admin days. I don't really try to get camera ready for people, so you're just going to see my hands today. I will start coming on camera from time to time, not every time, because we're talking 30 whole days. And let's be honest, let me be honest. I will not be camera ready every single day for 30 days. That's not real. Okay, so let's just be real. I turned 51 this year, and a lot of my filters are off. But not in a nasty way. I'm not mean to people or anything like that. But I am just like, I have to keep it real. I have to be like, I've always been a keep it real kind of person. But there are some things that I would edit to be a little more palatable. Is that the word I want to use? Not to offend, not to whatever. So, anyway, at this point, I am just like, I can only be who I am. And I have lived the kind of life that has helped me transform into a kind, compassionate, loving person who just wants to see everybody do well in the world, who wants to see compassion and love win. And I said, I'm just going to show up as that version of me. And if people are offended by that, that's kind of their business, So I'm just going to be who I am. I'm going to show up here in all my quirkiness and all of my Floridian Southern dialect that comes in and out depending on how comfortable I am talking. I'm going to show up with all the 1,000 things that I love to do and talk about and see what comes of it. I'm calling this the ABCs of me. I have a whole list here. I'm not gonna show the entire list, but I'll kind of give you a sneak peek, right? I did a thing where I went down the alphabet and all the things that I care about, love, and I kind of did them based on the word they start with. That's the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this series. And some of it will be, most of it is creative related because I'm a creative. I don't really know much else in terms of, I create things. That's what I do. So it'll be that. It'll be a variety of things. And so I hope you're along for the journey. I'm also going to be making things. If I am organized enough, I might even be able to tell you what to bring if you want to make along with me. I'll try to give you a heads up for what I'm going to be talking about in the next segment, since I've already kind of mapped out things. Let me stop. I'm not going to say I mapped it out. Let's be really real. I didn't map it out. I made a list, and that list is extremely packed full of stuff. And so I probably won't map it out, but I absolutely will do my best to give you a heads up in those moments when I can give you a heads up. Okay, so with that said, let's get into it for this first day. This is day one of my April vlog, my April ABCs of me vlog. So the first thing I want to do is pull a card. So if you are new to me, I am absolutely a diviner. I use divination in a lot of ways, a lot of different ways. Oracle cards and tarot cards are a big part of my world and how I move through my life and my day, my weeks, my months, my years. In fact, this is actually a prototype of a deck that I have been working on for 3 years. Oh, no, that's not true. Probably more like 5 years, honestly. And this gives me a good moment to kind of say also my 100-day project. This is also why I'm doing this vlog. My 100-day project is to complete as many projects as I can complete in 100 days. Can I also say that, listen, if y'all don't want to know a lot about me, you might not want to follow along on this vlog because you're going to get so many little things about me that will probably some of them make you cringe, who knows. But I am, one of those things is I am a obsessive list maker. I cannot help myself. I make a list for everything. Listen to me. When I say everything, I am not exaggerating. I promise you that. Okay. So I said that because I have a list for my 100-day project. And I'm not going to show the whole thing, but again, I got a list. This is what I do. I make lists. So these are projects that I want to try and complete. This is one of them. This deck has been in my prototype stack. I have several. You'll see them come out over this journey with the vlog. I have a lot of decks in progress, and I'll be talking more about all this stuff on letter D. I'll be talking about my deck creators mastermind. So, but for now, I just want to say that I am going to be blending this conversation with also sharing with you all some of my projects that are in progress that need to be completed, that I'll be working on with you all here, all the things. Okay, so with that said, let's start. Our official start. Oh, Linda says, I still go back and watch your Book in a Day series regularly when I need inspiration. Oh, Linda, that, like, honestly, oh, listen. Also, what has happened at 51 is I am like super teary all the time. It's menopause. We'll talk about that on letter M day. There'll be a lot of menopause talk on letter M day. So don't come on that day if you don't want to hear all about the menopause crazies. So Linda, thank you. My heart is smiling. Yeah, Book in a Day is like my legacy on YouTube. Is how I got started, and so thank you for naming that. All right, let's pull a card from this deck just to kind of set the tone for us. And it is a prototype, so there's lots of sticky notes on the things that I'm changing or have changed already. So if you see something weird come up, in fact, I'm feeling called to pull maybe 2 cards. So we'll do that as our start, and we'll see if that kicks us off today. All right, so I like to do a good shuffle of my cards. If you have oracle cards out there, I invite you. This is an oracle deck. You can pull from tarot too if that's your jam. All right. So let's pull 2 cards. So with that one, and maybe that one. This is one of the ones that is changing. It says, take a road trip. Oh, don't I need to take a road trip? Ooh-wee. And this one says, be your own oracle. Both of these, obviously, I'm changing the images on them. But there they are. All right, so let's let this be. I am going to allow this to be my guide for now, for this conversation and get us started. So I have this letter A for today, and I have a bunch of things. In fact, we're going to, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to share with you the list, and this will be kind of like our road trip here. Okay, I'm going to show you where we're going. And then the Be Your Own Oracle. I love this so much because we are currently in the middle of a class called Life as a Living Oracle that is being taught by Kristen Radden in my online community. And Kristen is an amazing teacher. She is teaching us lots of wonderful things in there and reminding us of our magic in all the ways. And that idea of being our own oracles is like the answers are in us, y'all. Right? The answers are in us. So here's what I have. So that's the whole meaning behind be your own oracle in this deck, is that you have to learn how to listen inward. And that's a lot of the work that I do in the world. So one of the things I want to start with also is just sharing where I've been and what I've been up to. Okay. I don't even really know where to begin. So why don't we do this? I'm going to tell you my list of things for the letter A. I don't know if I'll do this every single time, y'all, but let's do it. Also, those of you that are here live and you want to ask me questions, I would love that. Questions can fuel the conversation. I'm also going to be making an accordion book today because the accordion book starts with an A. So let's just put that there. Accordion. Oh, this little pen wants to behave badly. Let's see. Also, y'all, here's what's new since maybe the last time you were around me and hung out with me. These things. These things here. I got the specs, y'all. All right. So accordion. We'll make an accordion book. That's going to be the little project for tonight. My husband happens to be in class right now. He's finishing up he's headed into year 3 of a 3-year yoga therapist certification program. And so he has class tonight. So I thought I'm going to come and hang out with my creative pals while Damon is in class. All right. And just so you know, they won't all happen at night. I'll try to get ahead of myself a little bit and schedule them out, but they won't all be at the exact same time. My life just does not work like that. So, okay. Let me see if these glasses can actually help me read my writing. So I want to talk about art and being an artist today. Let's have some conversations around that. Those of you that are new to my channel, you are going to need to subscribe to my channel to be able to talk to me in the chat. I do have it turned on to subscribers only mode because, number one, I don't have time to deal with troll people who are trolling and writing nasty things in comments. So I don't have time for that. Number two, because it kind of helps me see who's out there watching, and I can come back and follow you all. If you've got YouTube channels, it just helps with all the things. So, okay. We're also going to talk about, let's see, I've got on here affirmations. I actually have an affirmation deck that is in the queue that needs to be that is on my list of projects to complete. So you'll probably see that come up throughout this 30 days of vlogging. So affirmations. I've got, just looking here. Oh, let's talk about authenticity. Ooh, that's a big topic, isn't it? All of these are going to be big topics because, well, that's just who I am. Probably going to bring out some acrylic paint, so we might as well talk about that. Any other A's y'all have in there that you'd like me to talk about, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep writing here. Absolutely, I'm going to talk about astrology because I am way deep into that. I'll say more about it in a moment. I run an online academy where I actually teach astrology and help people figure out who they are in this great big world using their astrology and human design, which we'll talk about on day H, letter H day. I do have to say some stuff about apple a day. I've been eating an apple a day, y'all. You know the old saying. Come on, I cannot be the only one who remembers this. Apple a day keeps the doctor away. So that's not why I'm doing it. I have just found these apples called cosmic apples that I am in love and obsessed with. So I'm also trying to find a replacement for potato chips. So there you go. Apples have become my crispy, crunchy, non-potato chip thing. Okay. Pearl Ann, I see your message. Is it too late to enroll in the Oracle class with Kristen? It isn't too late. However, I would probably tell you to wait till cycle 2. She is going to, I think she's going to be teaching it again in cycle 2. It's actually the kind of class you want to be able to be there from the beginning. So I would tell you to hold out until the next cycle. I think it would be a more effective transformational experience for you if you start with everyone at the beginning. If you were to come in now, this week we start doing our practice readings. And then the following 2 weeks after that, or 2 weeks of readings, and then the 2 weeks after that, I think we're doing our presenting our projects. So yeah, we would love to have you. I just think it would be more effective for you as a student, learner, diviner, to be there from the beginning. Okay, what else did I have here? Oh yeah, let's talk about Amherst writers as well. Okay, I think that's, and then I did have on here ADD, ADHD. Okay, so those are some of the things that I have for the letter A. I'm just double checking myself. Oh, and someone asked me why I call myself an alchemist. So I'll talk a little bit about that since it starts with the letter A. And then last but not least, Aries and Aquarius start with the letter A, and they kind of fall in with that astrology bit. But I'll say a little bit about that as well. Okay, so with that said, y'all want to make an accordion book with me? Let's do it. I'm gonna leave my little list somewhat visible so I can kind of see what I need to come back to. All right, so okay, let's talk. We on letter day F, we are going to talk all things fountain pens. But let me just say something about this little fountain pen. I like to buy little cheapy fountain pens, throw away. Doesn't matter if they break or if I drop it in the nib bins, or I like to have those in my stash because I tend to be really precious about my fancier fountain pens. This one right here is a pain in the butt. I don't even remember where I bought it. I want to say Five Below. Don't quote that. But it gets stuck in the cap. The ink doesn't always flow. I mean, I'm just about to throw it out the door. It's driving me bonkers. No fountain pen should be this difficult. I'm going to use my little grippy thing here to see. There it is. Goodness. See, I should not have to go through all that to get a fountain pen off the thing. That's just ridiculous. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. One of my projects for the 100-day project is that I had all of these. I have a stack of them, y'all. I had a bunch of these boards. Let's see if I can find them. Oh, the piles of things in my life. Had a bunch of these like white matte boards. These are, I don't know, I want to say they're 5x7 because they were for my soul collage cards, which we'll talk about on day C and day S. Yeah, so these are 5x7. But then I decided I didn't want to have my soul collage cards on something this thick anymore. So I started repurposing them into these book covers. Okay, so I've got a bunch of book covers just waiting to be turned into books. So I kind of like that little combo there. We're going to use this as our base size. Or do I like that one better? Nope. I think I like this better. Okay, we're going to go with this combination. So I'll show you how I do this, but mine is going to be this size. So this 5x7 size, which means I need to get paper that will fit a 5x7 size. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and finish covering this one all the way. I've already glued the paper down on it. So I'm going to raise my camera up just a little, and I don't have fancy equipment, so I'm sorry if I make you dizzy by lifting this up. I don't have the fancy stuff. So try not to get seasick on me. Okay, that feels better, a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. I'll adjust every day. I will get better at the whole camera thing. Okay, I'll try anyway. So there are lots of ways to make accordion books, but I'm going to make one that's a hardcover. And so since I already have these hard covers ready to go, I'm just going to use them because that's a part of my 100-day project, is making these, getting all of these journals that are just waiting to be made. Pieces are done, but the book's not finished. All the signatures are there, but I haven't sewn them. I mean, I have books in so many different stages. Am I the only one? Please tell me I'm not. Please tell me I'm not the only one. who does that, who makes things and has projects in various stages. I hope I'm not the only one. I know I'm not, in fact. So this is one of those moments. So what I've done is I've taken, again, another project that I had is like having a bunch of scrapbook paper, okay, that is just sitting there because I'm, number one, not a scrapbooker. Number two, often make my own printed papers. So yeah, I just tend to have a bunch of scrapbook pads in my home for no apparent reason. So what I have been doing is going through them, taking out the pages that I really like, that I'm just Marie Kondoing it. The ones that spark joy, I am like, oh yes, keeping that one, keeping that one. So I make a pile, keep pile, and this is not sparking joy for me. That pile then becomes the pile of, I'm going to put these in my mixed media grab bags that I sell from time to time. And I've just been building up a stash of those. And every time I get things, I just dump them into those bags. Eventually, those bags are going to be full, and I'm going to seal them up and let people know that I have them available and sell those and ship them off to other wonderful and amazing mixed media people who will do great things with them. They can no longer take up space in my life. So that has been one of the big projects for me in this 100 days, is going through all of my scrapbook paper pads. And for the ones, so that dividing them up. So with that said, this is where most of the backs of these have come from. This one actually is book cloth, very fancy book cloth, by the way. This is kind of like top tier, top level book cloth that bookbinders use. And then you combining them with, scrapbooky things. So bringing those things together. Okay, good. Other people are saying yes. I'm not the only one who has a whole pile of projects just waiting. So I hope you all will come and hang out with me during this time and maybe complete some of your projects as well. That's always fun. I know some of y'all are in my community, and we have Creative Catalyst chats where we come together and create. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these. I like to miter my corners. I'm just going to snag those off. And I'm just using this ruler because it's about the same thickness of my board here. And a good rule of thumb when bookbinding and mitering your corners is to leave enough space that is the equivalent of the thickness of the substrate. So if it were paper, you would just need a really thin space. But I need to find something that is the same size. Usually what we do in bookbinding is we just take a board that is the equivalent of the board we're using. You know what I mean? So I don't see that I have them. I always have extra boards up here, but when you need them, they're nowhere around. Okay. Here's an example. I would take like a board and do the same thing. Put it up against, and I would actually, in that instance, I would draw a pencil mark and use my scissors. But see how when I do that, it leaves that little bit, see that little section right there? That's the section that's going to fold over. It's just enough, it's the right amount to fold over this edge so that you don't have an edge hanging out or peeking out, right? So that's a little pro bookbinding tip for you. How to get those nice, crisp, mitered edges. And I'll just use scissors. And again, you can use scissors, you can do whatever. So all I did was cover this board. I used, let's pause for a moment and let me talk about this. Let's pause by saying this is not a recommendation. I'm not telling you to go get this. In fact, I'm telling you to be aware of how stinky this stuff is. And also, it does not hold to everything. It does not bond to everything. It's meant for fabric. Clearly, Fabri-Tac by Beacon, Stretchy, flexible glue, stretchable is for stretchable fabrics, knits, t-shirts, dancewear, and more. Not for book boards. It does not say anything about paper on here. But because it was Beacon 3-in-1, I just decided I was going to use it for paper. Big mistake. But I am going to keep it for my fabric things. But so anyway, I did use it on this, but it took a month of Sundays for it to dry. Okay. I'm surprised that it's dry right now. It took forever. So, and it stinks to the high heavens. That's just all I got to say. It is some of the stinkiest glue, stinkier than Mod Podge, stinkier than E6000, stinky glue. I'm only going to use it because otherwise I feel like I wasted my money. But it is horribly stinky. Okay, so I did that. I covered this board with this paper using a good quick grab glue. You could also use, you could use matte medium, but when you use a wet medium, and I'll talk about this more on letter G day for glue, but when you use a wet medium, you actually have to put stuff under weight so it doesn't warp on you. You know, so I like a quick, fast grab something or other. All right, so let's do the next thing here. I'm going to fold these up and give them a start. And then I like to bring in my bone folder and just kind of press that up against the edge of that just to help it be a little tighter. And then I'll show you one more little trick that I like to do. This is all in service of getting good crisp edges. If you don't care about that, don't bother. Don't bother doing it. But guess what? Something I've learned about myself over the years. While I am a mixed media artist, I'm actually not a messy artist. I actually like my things to be neat. I like my corners to be mitered neatly. I like straight edges. I like things that are lined up and mostly measured. I say mostly measured because we have human hands and human eyes. We are not meant to be machines, so it doesn't need to be perfect. But I'm really not. I'm not messy in the sense of, I mean, I can be, and I have plenty of things that are like that. But I actually do like nice, you know, symmetrical things. And for a while, because I follow so many people who do things that are just like messy and hanging off and all. For a while, I started to feel really bad that I was kind of down on myself that I like things to be straight as if it was bad, but it's not. It's actually, we need all kinds in the world. How about that? Christy says, I have so many projects half done. One project I finished though was my brown bag beauty. Ah, Christy! Yes, I love it. I love it. I sure would love to see it. I don't know if you've tagged me at all, if you share it on Instagram, or you can always just send me an email and share it with me. I would love to see what you made for Brown Bag Beauties. That is a class that I taught for Southern Gals Design for Tiffany Smith on her platform. And it's still over there, I'm pretty sure. You can still go purchase it. One of my favorite, all-time favorites. And then once you're in that class, there's actually access to me through into my academy. So, Christy, I don't know if you're in the group on the Mighty Network. You can come there and also share. If you're not there, please come join us. Okay, so I'm going to, again, I'll talk more about glue on G Day. This has become one of my new faves. It's a tacky glue. It's not quick grab, but it does actually hold pretty quickly and doesn't require a lot of, you don't have to put it under weight. Although if I were using it for this entire surface, I probably would put it under weight because it does not dry. It's not a quick dry glue, but it dries pretty quick. It's not too bad. Okay, so hang on, y'all. I'm going to grab some glue paper. And for those of you who are like, what is glue paper? That's paper that is like from a mag. For me, it's like paper I've torn out of magazines that I'm not going to use for anything. I don't have any major plan for it. So then I will use it to do my gluing. So with this particular glue, I like to put a little bit down. And I'm an overgluer. I'm not an oversharer. I try not to be an oversharer where I just tell you every little detail of every little thing in my life. But I'm definitely an overgluer. I put down way more glue than I need, and I'm okay with that. And I just smooth it out with my finger. If you don't like that feeling of glue on your fingers, then don't do that. But the pro tip that I have for you, take your glue paper, something good and sturdy. This is a magazine image, but a fancy magazine, so the pages are thick. After you've already kind of pre-creased this, you can fold this over and you can pull on this to help you get that edge really, really crisp, to really get that thing tight. This is something I learned from my teacher, my bookbinding teacher, Julie Chen, back in the day. And so once you do that, I'm noticing that I may not have had enough glue on this part, but I'm not going to even worry about it. Just going to smooth it down. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And I'm going to see if y'all have any questions for me in the chat. Any questions? I'm going to look at my letter A list here. So we're talking accordion books. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you love accordion books? 5 being, they are my go-to. I always make accordion books. They're my jam. 1 being, I hate accordion books. I never want to see one. I don't like to make them. Tell me, where do you fall on that spectrum? So this paper just helps you pull that edge tight. And then once you do that, it also catches any little glue that wants to come out and ooze out. That's why I call it my glue paper. Pearl Ann says the 3. She's in the middle there somewhere. And then as it gets gluey, I just fold it over and keep going. We've got 3, 3. Linda said, forget that 1 to 5. I'm a 9 or a 10. I love it. So you really like accordion books. I love that. They are so easy, right? Like they are the easiest ones. Truly. In my opinion, an accordion book is even easier than all the one-page books that we like to make. All right, so I'm really pulling this super tight. You can probably even see my hand kind of changing colors there because I'm pulling super tight. Obviously, you would do this a lot faster than I'm doing because I'm running my mouth. And I'm not going to worry too much about that glue because I am going to be covering that up. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. Hi, Beth. I see your note to me, the private message you sent me. Hi there. Yay. Glad you're here. I miss you. Okay, let's see if I can eke out one more without getting my paper too messy, my book too messy. I'll do one more here. Yeah, Linda says you can do anything with accordion books. You absolutely can. And actually, if I'm being honest, a lot of the one-page books that we all make, those of us that are bookbinders and book artists, they fall under the category of an accordion book. Like think about our one-page books that are the X book, our one-page books that are the Wandering or the Snake book, the Meandering or the Snake book. Those of you who've taken my 7 books in 7 days class, you know these words I am speaking. Those books are basically accordion books at the end of the day, right? Some of you who were in my Artsy Meetup earlier this year, I did an accordion book with you all that didn't really look like an accordion book, but it was. So yeah, there are a lot of things that are accordion books that we call something else, but they actually fall under the umbrella of accordion books. All right, so that's pretty much done. I am actually going to show you another pro tip here. So once you've mitered your corners and folded everything and it's nice and neat, sometimes these little corners can be very pointy. So what I like to do is flip it over and just use my bone folder to do what we call knocking the edges, knocking the corners. And I'm kind of doing it in a circular motion like this around it to kind of round that corner out and keep it from being so pointy and sticky. And so I just go around and do that to each corner. That's another little pro tip for you. Awesome. All right, so I've got a front cover and a back cover. So now I need to get paper. So I think one of the things that I have been also doing is looking at papers I have that I'm not using. And listen, y'all, have a lot of them. I'm just thinking here for a moment because I do have a lot of papers. How are we on time? Okay, we've been going about 45 minutes. And I still have lots of things to talk about. So let me grab paper. And actually, I think I thought I had some paper right down in front of me here. I have a nice Hanson XL thing here. So I'm going to pull out about 4 sheets of this. This one happens to be 14 by 17. I'm going to take out 4 of these sheets, and these will become my accordion. All right, so while I'm tearing these out, let's talk a bit. So I wanted to talk about this whole idea of being an artist. I know it's blurry. It's because of the white. It'll come back in a moment here. It's funny that right when I started talking about art and being an artist, the camera went blurry. Yeah, that part. It feels blurry for me sometimes. Calling myself an artist, saying that I make art. There it is. It often feels, just to be clear, I don't feel like an imposter or anything like that. Maybe we'll talk about imposter syndrome on letter I day. In fact, let me add that to my list so I don't forget. Imposter syndrome. I am an artist, so it's not that I feel like I'm being deceitful when I say that. I am absolutely an artist. What is also true is that sometimes it's really hard to define that and to be an artist in a world filled with people who try to disparage artists. And that is, I'm an artist in a lot of senses of that word. Mixed media artist, book artist. I'm a printmaker, and I'm also a poet and a writer. And those are also forms of art. And so See if I can get that to stop being blurry. Come on, camera. I really hate the autofocus on this thing. We're going to see if we can work that out at some point. Here, maybe it needs lots of colorful things to look at. Come on. Please focus. Oh, goodness, y'all. That's the longest it's ever done that for me. Usually it snaps itself right on back. There we go. Okay. I just have to leave something out for this thing to not keep doing that. That's going to be driving me crazy. I'm just going to put things out there. Okay, so I am measuring this while also talking about this whole idea of being an artist and how sometimes it just feels like such a heavy loaded word. But there are lots of ways to be an artist. So I'm just marking this so I can cut it, tear it at the proper size. So yeah, so that's my sort of issue with the whole calling myself an artist, is that there's some conditioning around that, right? I've been doing a lot of shadow work with artists for years around calling themselves an artist, being able to call yourself an artist and not feel like you're being, fraudulent. All right, we're going to go blurry one more time, I'm sure, here while I tear paper. I'm just taking my straight edge ruler, all metal ruler, lining it up on those marks that I made and tearing the paper. So that I can end up with the right size. All right. The other thing that I have had to come to grips with is that a lot of people like to make journals that already have painted pages in them. I actually like to start with blank pages. Like, that actually brings me a ton of joy. No joke. All right, so let's see. I'm seeing that there's a little discrepancy in the size here. I'm wondering if I can get away with it. I think I can. I'm going to make it work. All right, so while I'm talking to you all, I'm also going to do some measuring. All right, so there's this concept right around calling ourselves artists. All right, I'm going to only be able to give 3 of those in each one. Okay, I need to do a little bit of measuring. So when you're measuring for an accordion, ideally, you already know you need the paper to be the same height as whatever your intended size is. So you need the height to be the same. Doesn't have to be, but you're going to get a weird functioning book if you don't. So the height is important. And then for the width, what I like to do is just look at, I know I'm going to fold it a couple of times. So I'll just kind of lay this down and see how many times, how many exact folds can I get. And it looks like I can get 3, and I'll have about that much hanging over. So I am going to take that into account. And I already know that my book is about 5. I'm going to go for 5 inches. So 5, 10, 15 inches. I'm going to tear this paper down at 15 inches. So, all right. So I was saying I do a lot of shadow work with artists, people who struggle to kind of find their way in the art world and do this thing called art and do it for a living, or maybe even just as a hobby, but just reclaiming your energy as a creative, because we're all creative. I'm just counting 15. I'm going to use my cutting mat as my guide here. I'm going to double check myself before I start tearing. looks about right. We're going to trust it. I measured it twice. Okay, so actually going to cut. It'll be quieter. So yeah, this whole idea of calling ourselves artists, naming it, claiming it, owning it, trusting it, living into it, that leads me to authenticity, right? Like the word authenticity has the word author in it. We are authoring our own lives, y'all. We get to do that. We get to say what is good and right for us. We get to decide. Just looking at the overhang here. We get to decide what our lives, what we call ourselves, how we move through the world. So for me, authenticity is really about, are you living into the truest version of who you are and who you're meant to be, who you're here to actually be in the world. Many of us are not. I wasn't for a really long time, for decades. I wasn't. And I was miserable as a result. I was choosing the wrong boyfriends. I was choosing the wrong jobs. I was, just making lots of choices because I wasn't living in my truth. I wasn't living in my authenticity. I wasn't actually writing my own story. I was kind of letting other people write it for me. And this was well before the time of social media, y'all, so I can't blame social media. All right, let's test one of these. I can't say that I was being influenced. Now I'm having a moment here where I think this is not actually going to come out the way I want. So I'm going to have to do a little bookbinder trickery here. Where I want those folds to end up. So once I started living a little more fully into who I am, who I'm meant to be. Yep, did that wrong too. Come on, Kiala. All right, so I may have cut off or not cut off enough. Let's see here. This is when I become like a book engineer, and I love it. I love being a book engineer. It brings me lots of joy. And I just sliced that up horribly. But I'm going to just check it and make sure it is the right sizing that I want. It is. Okay. So let me show y'all what I did. Why? Why did I do that? It's so bad. This is what happens when I try to talk and make a book at the same time. You never know what you're going to get. So anyway, all that to say, my authenticity, everybody's authenticity, can stem from figuring out how to just write the story of your life, right? Like don't try to live the life of others, which I see a lot happening a lot in with social media these days. Makes me sad, but it's the world we live in, right? Not to say social media is bad. I'm not trying to demonize social media because, hello, here we are on YouTube right now, socially connecting with each other through this media. So I'm definitely not trying to demonize social media. But I do know that it can, for some people, it can be a super, super great inspiration. For others, it can be a source of inauthenticity because you are so busy seeing what other people are doing that you're not out there just doing your thing. And that can be tricky. Ooh, I did a number for myself, didn't I? I made it very hard for myself. This is what happens when you don't work with 4s, you work with 3s. Eee! All right. Since we're working with 3s, let's just do it this way. So I was going to talk about acrylic paints for a moment there. So let me say, with acrylic paints, I am learning that I really am digging more so these days, more so than acrylic paints. I am really digging watercolor paints. Not to say I don't love my acrylic paints, because I do, y'all. I do. I'm going to grab my stylus and do some scoring. Just a couple of score marks. It's going to make my life easier. Someone asked me the other day, do you fall into the score mark or away from the score mark? And at the time I was like, that's an interesting question. And my answer was, I fold away when I'm trying to make a square. I fold into when I'm trying to just use it as a folding point. You know, does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't need a big score mark on this. I just need a little help to help guide these eyes. So acrylic paints. I have decided that when I pay attention to my patterns as an artist, when I pay attention to the ways I'd like to create, I really only reach for my acrylic paints when I am the best way to describe it. When I'm going to work on printmaking, jelly plates, which P for printmaking will come up again. G for jelly plates. That's on my list. That will definitely come up again. I'm going to do a thing here where sorry, y'all, I just got to make this a little easier for myself here. So I'm finding that I don't really use my jelly plates, my acrylic paints, unless I'm doing things like that. Now, I am not about to get rid of my acrylic paints by any means, but I have decided that all 70 of my colors don't need to be out at once on my table all at the same time. That's kind of overkill. I'm not using them that much. And so I have started putting them away. Try not to gasp. Try not to gasp. What did you say, Kyla? Yes. I started putting them away, y'all. I put them in a place because when I go to do jelly plate printing, I'm not just doing one jelly plate print. I am having a printing session, okay? So at that point, I pull out my 6-foot folding table. It's a whole thing. It's a whole production. And so I can just pull out the paints at that time as well. When we get to W, that's way towards the end of the month here, I'll be talking about watercolors and sharing with you some of my favorite watercolor artisan watercolors and watercolor creators. But yeah, I'm really digging the flow and the ease of watercolors, the easy cleanup, the low to zero toxicity issues. I hate to be the one to say this, but y'all know acrylic paints can be really, really bad for us, especially those of us that use them a lot, those of us that like to mix them around with our fingers and touch on them, and then we forget to wash our hands, and we're eating food and we're eating paint. And yeah, it may not seem like a big deal once or twice, but if that's your lifestyle, just think about the cumulative effect over time. When I was learning letterpress for the first time back in 2007, 2008, 2009, I learned that the older letterpress letters from back in the day were made of lead. And contact with all of that lead, I had a friend who was in school with me at the time, and she didn't develop lead poisoning, but she did develop a neurotoxic reaction to touching that lead so much. Now, she was, admittedly, she was in the bookbinding studio hours and hours and hours at a time, right? And so she was exposing herself to it a lot more than most of us, okay? And so, yeah, there was that. I'm going to use double-sided tape to back these. So yeah, just this stuff does affect us, whether we want to admit it or not. So if you are someone who all of a sudden has started to develop all kind of sensitivities to things and unexplainable aches and pains and unexplainable brain fog, and I'm not a doctor, I am not diagnosing you, but I'm telling you to go to a doctor and mention to them that you are an acrylic artist, that you use acrylic paints. Could there be a connection? Take a bottle of your favorite paint in there and say, here are the ingredients. If you look on the back of a lot of those bottles, they tell you how toxic they are. They are right there on the thing. Has been known to cause cancer, it'll say on some of them. And then there are some that say conforms to blah, blah, blah standard and is not toxic, right? So just pay attention. As artists, we have to pay attention. So that's one of the reasons that I'm just thinking about being really careful about the acrylic paints, how much I use them, all the things, because as much as I love beautiful colors and beautiful art and I love acrylic paints, I love me better. I love me more. I love myself way more. And I hope you love yourself way more too. I always have to triple check myself in the direction that these are supposed to go. So I'm using double-sided tape to do some back-to-back stuff here. And I know for some of you, you hate this because it means you're losing a page when you back-to-back them this way. I don't mind that. I actually find that it makes my book a little more sturdier and gives my book a better center of gravity. Look at me using big fancy terms. Y'all listen. What I mean by that is it keeps my book standing upright if I want it to be a display accordion, because accordion books traditionally are used as display books. Like you can display them on a mantle or a bookshelf or on your floor. I don't know, whatever your thing is. So they are meant to be displayed. And so if you have something sturdier, like these two pages being brought together makes this piece sturdier, you know? So yeah, check out your acrylic paint situation and just make sure that acrylic paints you got the best ones you can afford to get that are not detrimental to your health and that are helping you stay happy, healthy, and whole. All right, what else? Apple a day. I said I was going to tell y'all about my apple a day situation. So I mentioned the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, which I think most people have heard at some point in some context, even if it was like on a television show or in a movie. But I actually believe it. I mean, I see why that saying is a thing, and I'm not saying like I'm not in any like I'm not having any kind of like health issues, but I am at 51 becoming more aware of my health in ways that I just hadn't given a lot of thought to. I mean, my husband and I do a lot of work with health. I mean, we're people who, we've taken lots of classes. We both have different certifications in different things that are health related things. We are not doctors. We don't try to diagnose or anything like that. But a lot of the work that we do is around helping people with their physical health as well, right? To stay healthy in that way. And I have been in full-on menopause for a while, some years, about 6 at this point. And early onset, they call it. That's the terminology they like to give it. Early onset, because it happened in my 40s. And I learned through that my great-grandmother also had early onset, and my grandmother, not too far behind her, not really early, but earlier than the standard sort of norm, I guess. So anyway, all of that to say, that has made me aware of things sooner than I thought I would need to be being aware of them. And apples have a ton of benefits. You can Google it. You can look them up and see all the different things that apples do for you that make your body smile. And I like it when my body smiles. I like to have a smiling body. So I have been eating an apple a day to keep the doctor away. And sometimes 2 or 3 apples a day because I love them so much. But I'm also being aware of, like, if I eat things too much, I stop loving them. So I've been switching them up, eating lots of different apples. Let me tell you all about my new favorite apples, okay? Listen to this list. Cosmic apples are at the tippity top of my list right now. We have a local co-op here that sells organic cosmic apples. Obviously, the word cosmic is what drew me to them because, well, astrology and working with all the things that I love to work with cosmically. I do read natal charts for people. And so I'm big into, so you say the word cosmic and you get pretty much got me. Just name it something with cosmic in it and I'm there. So the cosmic apple is currently one of my favorites. The snapdragon apple. We have those right now, organic in our co-op. It's my second favorite. They're just so, both of them, crispy, sweet, with a little tartness. I mean, listen, they are awesome. Granny Smith is, no, sorry, back it up. Cosmic is first. Cosmic apples are first. Snapdragon is second. If you all know these apples, please tell me. Do you know these apples? Have you heard of these apples? Because when I saw them in my co-op, I was like, what are these apples? I've never heard of them. Been eating apples 51 years. Never heard of these apples. So Cosmic, Snapdragon. The third one that is my new favorite is Wild Twist. And it is ridiculously good. Also, not as great as my Cosmics, but it's right there. It's a close third. Right there with them. So Cosmic, Snapdragon, Wild Twist, and then my sort of favorites that I've always loved would next in line would be my Honey Crisp. I love a good Honey Crisp apple. If you can't tell the theme around the apples here, crunchy. I like crunchy apples. I do not like soft textured apples. No thank you. Golden Delicious. No thank you. So after my Honey Crisp would be my Fuji apples. After my Fuji apples are my Granny Smiths. I love a Granny Smith apple. That tartness is yummy. They're so good as an apple pie apple. And they're really, really good if you take a slice of Granny Smith and put a date, a medjool date on it. Obviously, take the seed out of the date. I like to cut mine in half. One slice of Granny Smith with half of a medjool date. You would think you're eating a caramel apple. Oh, so good. If you've not tried it, try it and thank me later. Thank me later. Kristen says, I love Cosmic. We have them in New England. I haven't heard of the others. Ooh, New England has Cosmic apples. All right. I don't know the origin of these different ones. Two that we have that we don't like. A lemonade apple. Because, I mean, what do you all think a lemonade apple should taste like? Like if it tells you the name of the apple is a lemonade apple, what are you expecting when you bite into that apple? Just tell me. Let's see if I'm crazy pants or not. I'm going to take a little sip of tea here. What do you think a lemonade apple will taste like? I, in my infinite wisdom, I was like, well, it's a lemonade apple. I'm expecting something lemony to come out of this. I'm expecting some kind of tartness. I'm expecting something that sounds like or tastes like lemonade. Yeah, no, that's not it at all. Don't go looking for lemonade apples and get your hopes up. Okay, they don't taste like lemonade, not to me anyway. And maybe my taste buds are now tuned to cosmic apples, and so I'm just not getting that lemonade ting or tang or twang. But yeah, no, nothing like that. So they look like Golden Delicious, except they're longer. They're longer taller apples. Like Golden Delicious are yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna try to explain that part, but they're taller. They're longer. So they look like they have the outside skin of a Golden Delicious, same color and everything. But they actually don't taste anything like a Golden Delicious and nothing like lemonade. So they are their own, got their own thing going on. So that's my little apple a day journey. Oh, sorry. One more that we just discovered, but we're not liking it very much. We won't buy another one probably. Like we won't buy the pink lemon. Like I want to call it a pink lemonade apple. We won't buy the lemonade apple. And I don't know why I want to call it pink lemonade. It is neither pink or lemonade. So I don't know why my brain keeps wanting to call it that. But yeah, the lemonade apple, we won't be buying more of those. And what was the name of that apple? Sugar bee. It was a sugar bee apple. Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I can't really describe why I didn't like it. I don't think it was, I expected it to be like sugary sweet. It wasn't. So yeah, it just, and I feel like the texture, like I said, I like a crispy apple, nice and crisp, cold right out of the fridge, nice and crisp apple. I'm picky that way about my apples. And that sugar bee did not do that for me. So I won't be getting that one again. But every time we leave this house to go to the store, or even if we're not going to the store, we stop by the store, and I don't know what I'm going to do when they're out of season, these cosmic apples. But I pretty much don't want to wake up in a house that does not have a cosmic apple in the refrigerator. That's just the goodness to honest truth. All right, y'all, we got one more set here, and then we're gonna put these onto our boards. Let's see what else is on my A list. All right, so I said I was going to speak about the Life Alchemy Academy. Some of you are already over there in the Life Alchemy Academy. Thank you very much for being over there with us. We're doing a lot of fun things over there. If you are part of the Artsy Meetup Marathon class from this last group, bringing in 2024, then you are already over there. That's where you get your Artsy Meetup replays. That's where you have all the replays from the marathon in 2024. New ones. In fact, I'm going to be adding a new one maybe before I go to bed here for our April bonus material. Why am I doing a cross here all of a sudden? Because I'm talking and not paying attention. Yeah, the Artsy Marathon. Those of you who are in paid classes with me, you have access to my weekly Creative Catalyst calls where we come together as a community. We check in the first 10 minutes and then we create together. We have been doing this since 2015. It used to be called Power Hour. I used to call it Power Hour. And it originally started out for the people who were my coaching clients who were in my business coaching program that I was running at the time. Shout out to all of you that were, anybody here who was a part of that, 4 or 5 years of empowered entrepreneur. which might be coming back later this year. But it started off as that. It started off as coming together to work on different parts of your business, and having me there to ask questions and get assistance. And so it really started out for the folks that were in that program with me. And then it started to morph into my writers. I used to be a writing coach, people who were working on books that they wanted to get published. And so I started inviting those folks. And so then it became Power Hour for creatives in general. It wasn't just about building a business anymore. And then over the years, it just morphed into Creative Catalyst, because we have people doing all sorts of creative things, not just writing books, not just building businesses. And so I just expanded it to be for any and everybody. All right, so I feel like that's a nice size we got going there. That feels good. I like a closure, so I'm gonna find some sari silk here. Hold on. I have a little bag of sari silk that I keep easily accessible and not have to go digging in my stash. Let's see if we have anything that can coordinate. So the Academy is basically my online school. But this year we are doing this thing where we're transitioning to what I call a mystery school. And mystery schools, it's not a new term. I didn't create that term. They've been around for centuries. Honestly, centuries. I'm not over-exaggerating with that. But a mystery school was all about learning the mysteries of the universe, right? Our mystery school that Damon, my husband, and I, which I'm sure you all will probably get to meet on camera at some point during this 30 days of vlogging. Damon and I have launched. It's very much in a transition year. But we're creating a mystery school. And for us, yes, it is about learning the mysteries and talking about and being in conversation with others about the mysteries of the universe. But it really is more about the my story, mystery, history being his story, mystery being my story. It's more about that. It's more about us helping you uncover your mystery, your my story. Which is where that whole authenticity, being the author of your life, like all these things flood together for us. I'm just taking out the ones that I think feel like they could work. Not the pink. And it's called the Life Alchemy Academy, is what we have been calling it for years, but not really considering it a mystery school until last year and making the transition this year. So when you come in, you might see some dust, some construction going on inside the online building. Metaphorically, of course. Because we are building. I really like this piece, but I don't have a second one, and it's not going to be long enough to do a full wrap the way I like to wrap. So I'm going to have to nix it. It's feeling like it's going to end up being this piece. Let's audition it. Do we like that one? Nah, that one feels a little too purpley. I'm thinking it's going to end up being this one, y'all. Or that one. Ooh, that's a toss-up. That's a hard toss-up. Studio in the library says, what a wonderful surprise. So good to see you again. You are one of my most favorite people on YouTube of all time. A true great gift. Oh my goodness. Please tell me who you are. I do not know this name of your account. I'm gonna go follow you after this, though. I'm gonna go find you and follow you if you do have an account. I don't know how to see who you are by name, but if you just message me privately if you can or want to tell me. And thank you for that comment. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm trying to make my way back into YouTube land. I have missed this platform and this community, and so yeah. I don't know, y'all. Do I like that one? Maybe that's a little too matchy. Maybe I need something to stand out. Yeah, let's go with the blue. The blue was my first instinct, so I'm going to trust that because the mystery school we're building is also about that, y'all. Some of y'all have heard me talk ad nauseum about pulp and paint. Some of y'all are in pulp and paint. Hey, y'all. And that's really the whole crux of pulp and paint is learning who you are at your core. And we do that in a lot of ways. Astrology, tarot, human design. Yep, this is the one. It's kind of long, but this is going to be the one that I use. All right, so I'm going to do one more thing here to this one before I call this fully done. For whatever reason, my crazy brain wants to put a little cover on this before I cover it, which makes no sense at all. Okay, we're not doing that. We're just not doing that. All right, so let's go ahead and get this on. I'm also debating whether or not I want to do glue or double-sided tape for this. Everything in my soul is saying glue. Listen to it. I'm going to use this glue. Okay, lost my train of thought. Let me see if I can get it back here. The Life Alchemy Academy. Yeah, so basically, we're just over there trying to do good things for good people. Trying to help people. Yeah, just feel like life isn't so heavy all the time. And when it is, you have the tools you need to navigate it. Because the tools are here. They're at our disposal. And with the world changing so rapidly all the time, we kind of have to really spend time getting to know who we are at our core so that we can be the best version of ourselves. Damon and I, we focus on working with creatives, people who self-identify as creative or who want to be more creative in their life, who want to have a creative awakening or even a spiritual awakening, because the two are very much tied together. Take the word inspiration. We'll talk more about that when we get to the letter I day. But inspiration has the word spirit in it. So there's definitely, we believe, a direct correlation. And so we work with that. Oh, Kiala, are you doing that in a good way? Look, this might end up being upside down, people. Don't judge it. Try not to judge it. Also, I am being a weirdo right now. What am I doing? I want this to sit a certain way, and so I'm being hyper persnickety and probably letting my glue dry at the same time. All right, let's. Oh yeah, I did a botch job on that, but it's a handmade journal. It should absolutely be. It should absolutely be. Yeah, I I let that get too dry. Running my mouth. Hold, please. I'm going to have to do that over and faster. Let's do it over and do it faster. Because you know how I said this glue doesn't dry fast? I mean, it does, but apparently it dries faster than the speed of talking. So I don't have a lot of wiggle room. In fact, I'm going to use this to help me just get that all over instead of using my finger, taking me forever. I'm also going to be quiet for a moment here and just deal with this. Oh, yes, I'm getting glue everywhere, in case you wondered. We're going to also take this as a sign that this live stream is coming to a close because I'm in mess mode right now. And y'all heard me say earlier, I don't like this messiness. The messiness. Oh my gosh, I have glue everywhere. This is kind of ridiculous. Hold on. And the book is drying at the same time. Listen, if you all are not laughing at me right now, you're missing an opportunity. Get in on the laughter. Laugh with me. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it like this time. I want my edges, the edge, what I'm calling the spine of my book or the edge of my book, to be lined up. Oh, that was stressful. And if that's the most stress of my week, it'll be a great week. So if you all have not noticed, I said one of the things I would talk about in the A day, on A day, today being A day, letter A, is ADD, ADHD. All right. So I know there's a lot of conversation around in the world right now about adult, people diagnosing themselves through TikTok and all that. I was in the first wave of children back in 1987, maybe 88, one of those 2 years, diagnosed and prescribed Ritalin. So I'm a OG. I don't talk about it a lot. You probably won't hear me mention it again, if at all, because I know a lot of people wear it as a badge of honor. A lot of people wear it as some people wear it as a crutch, like I have this thing, so please treat me special and different. Or I have this thing, please don't treat me special and different. I don't really talk about it a lot, but you can tell by how this stream has gone in real time that I am often all my brain over here, over there. Look at this, look at that. Also, I had a very good psychologist in high school who gave me a lot of helpful tips and strategies. I took the medication for about a week and was seeing balloon floaty people in the hallways of my high school. And I went home to my mother and I was like, I'm not taking this because I'm pretty sure I shouldn't be seeing my friends and my teachers as if they are balloons floating through the hallway. So I stopped taking the Ritalin and I went to a psychologist who helped me learn lots of strategies, who taught me lots of strategies for how to deal with and handle having a brain that works a little differently than the norm, than what is considered normal. I personally think most of us have this way that our brain works, depending on the context. So, but it has shown up this year. I'm bringing it up in this call right now in this session because it has shown up this year in some really powerful and significant ways. And I've had to deal with it again after being able to manage it significantly for a really long time. And I think do a damn good job of managing it for decades. And then this year, I just had a lot of stress with some family things. And y'all, I should have just used double-sided tape at this point. This glue is not being friendly. And I'm going to say I'm getting a tad bit annoyed with it. And it created what my psychologist used to call a flare-up, an ADD, ADHD flare-up. And I had to do a lot of work with it this year that I haven't had to do in a very, very long time. And so I bring that up to say it's one of the areas where I'm feeling really super proud of myself this year. Mostly last year, because, we're still kind of new to this year. But so 2023, between the menopause, and I'm pretty sure that the menopause once the menopause was got really severe, the symptoms, I think they triggered something in the ADD stuff, ADD, ADHD stuff. And so, yeah, it was just compounded, and it was a doozy of a year, 2023. Let's just say that. It was a doozy of a year. I'm going to use this really thick, wide, double-sided tape to do the back of my book, because I can't deal with glue again on this one. So that brought up a lot of interesting things for me to work on and work through this year. And I'm grateful for every single lesson that I had to learn/endure this year. It's one of the reasons, this last year is one of the reasons why I'm like, I need to either get back to blogging, or I need to restart my YouTube channel. I need a place where I can share the things that I think might be helpful to others. Again, not in service of, I'm not diagnosing you. Just because you have squirrel moments and you have 20,000 projects going on does not automatically make you ADD, ADHD. That is not it's not a if this then that always kind of situation. And so, but what I realized is I also let that shut me down in a way over the last few years, of just not wanting to show up seeming or looking scattered, or even feeling scattered, or seeming like I don't have, seeming flighty, or like I can't make up my mind, which is often what gets said about people who are diagnosed as such. And it is a mislabeling. It's actually not accurate. It can present as that, but it's not accurate. So anyway, I had my own sort of internal battles about that. And it kept me from doing a lot of the things that I actually love doing, like being in community and conversation with you all, like sharing my gifts, my talents, my passions with you all, for fear that people will be like, oh, here she is again talking about this stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the other stuff that she usually talks about. Ugh. And so I did a lot of work around it this year I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling a little hesitant around this. Let me just think about how I want to do this to get it as close to where I want it to be as possible. So yeah, I did a lot of work around it this year, and I feel really proud of the work that I did. Oh, well, that's just... And I didn't put my darn ribbon in there. Hold on. See, this is why I should not talk and try to do this at the same time. Hold on. See if I can slip it in. I'm gonna slip it in there. I'm gonna slip in this in. Doesn't have to be a lot of it. Only need a little bit. Okay. There we go. Yay! Saved. I forgot where I was. Hold, please. Let me recall my brain train. Yeah, so I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of the work that I did. It was a lot. It was hard. It was every other day. It was, there was one moment there. Talking and creating. Not the best idea. That is not on the side I want it to be on. This is my front. This is my back. Okay. All right, we're going to do a few more things with this, and then we're going to call it done. What was I saying, friends? Proud of myself. I did the work. And I feel ready to come back into the world. I spent a lot of time last year trying not to be around a lot of people, doing a lot of things all the time. I kind of stayed very cocooned in the community that I have spent 15 years building, because it felt safe to be there with people that I know aren't necessarily judging in the way that the rest of the world likes to judge. All right, these are some offcuts from another project. Let's see if I can make one of these colors work for what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, all of that to say, I'm back. I'm coming back. Linda, you can relate. Yeah. Yep. It's been a doozy. It has been a doozy. All right, y'all know I like to do a good little title on my journals. So I like to edge up my edges, give it a little color. So yeah, so there were other things also. I had some interesting collaboration things. I'll talk about that on day C, letter C day. Just going to use double-sided tape because that seems to be working for me right now and keeping me a little less cray-cray in this moment. So yeah, it was like a year of compounded stuff, and I had to do a lot of work to stay in my truth and to stay in my power. And I feel really blessed that I had so many places and spaces that I had already created that I felt safe to be, just to show up and be me fully, wholly, completely. And yeah, and then I had a couple people who found not so good, not so nice people who found their way into the community and tried to wreak a little havoc, but I was able to stand in my truth and stand in my power and shut that down beautifully, I think. I don't even think anybody else really noticed it was happening, except those behind the scenes. And so that was good too. So it was a what I call a test year, right? A year where you're being tested in every possible way. It was definitely a test year for me. And I'm coming out on the other side of it stronger, clearer. I was able to do some really good work with people throughout the year to help them get stronger and clearer. And I feel like you can't, for me, I'd much rather learn from someone who's been there, done that, than somebody who read a book about being there, doing that. You get me? Somebody who studied it, read a whole bunch of books about it. I like people who've had the experience. So I think that I was able to help a lot of people because I have had the experience, had the moments. All right, last but not least, I am going to, I almost want to label this something. What do we want to label it, y'all? Let's see. I'm currently taking, and I'll talk about this on letter L day. I'm taking a class by Lila Rogers. It's all about lettering. It's not my first lettering course. I was taking some lettering courses years ago, back when brush lettering was a big thing and had just started. And I just wasn't, I don't know, I didn't grasp onto the whole brush lettering trend the way others gravitated towards it, but I did give it a try. And so then I took a lettering class from a designer. Can't remember his name in this moment. Wes, can't think of his last name. But that was a little bit over my head, I think, at the time. And then I took one from a woman. Oh, I can't think of her. I think her last name is O-H. And it was really good. And I still have access to that one, I think. And then I think I took a lettering class from Joanne Sharp back in the day. But all of these were more than, I don't know, more than 5 years ago for sure. And so I saw this thing with Lila Rogers, and I'm in it right now. And yeah, I think I might, that's a part of one of the projects that I'm trying to complete this year, this 100 days as well, is like going back and getting caught up, because the class is on, like, it's continuing right now. It's not done. It's in progress right now. It's happening in the moment. And so, yeah, there's a part of me that feels like I want to go back and maybe use this journal as some lettering journal. And so I am going to, I'm actually gonna, this is a Jelly Roll pen. I'm gonna call this the ABCs of me. And I'm gonna figure out some way to bring in some lettering into this. That's the other thing. In terms of art and artists, is like really giving myself permission to do what I love, even if it doesn't always make sense to others. Because when have I really truly ever made sense to others? Like, let's be honest about it. I love the color of this pen. It's like a rose gold kind of color. When it dries, you're going to be able to kind of see the shimmer. You'll see a little bit of the rose pink, but you'll also see the gold. Can y'all see that? Maybe. So this is what it's going to be. This is going to be my ABCs of Me journal. I'll bring it out every time we gather. I'll bring in my little list and see what we can do. I think I will end with, I didn't really talk about, I'll talk more when I can talk about Aries and Aquarius some other time, but we are currently in our Aries season right now, right? Sun is in Aries and it's doing its Aries thing, and it is that initiating energy. And that may have a lot to do with why I'm initiating this, right? Is we're sitting firmly in that energy of like initiation, of like, let's get something started. And so I'm just leaning into that. I very much follow what the cosmos are doing because the sun illuminates things for us and the moon governs how we feel. And so I pay attention to what those two are doing up there, so that I can be in sync with nature and the natural order of things, which is also why Aries, when Aries comes in, when the sun enters Aries, feels like the beginning of the year to me. Even though my birthday is in January, it feels like a personal beginning of the year, but the actual beginning of the year feels like when the sun moves into Aries. And so we do call that the zodiacal new year. And I have just decided to sync myself. I've been doing that for the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, maybe longer, since Pulp and Paint. So definitely 8 years. We're 8 years into Pulp and Paint. So for the last 8 years, I have definitely been using that as kind of like my reset. So this feels fitting. I didn't even kind of think about it in those terms until this moment, but that definitely feels fitting. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited about even thinking about that and journaling a little bit about that. So, and then for our last A, our Aquarius energy, I'm going to hold that one. I'll come back to it at another point when we get to like natal chart stuff or something. I'll come back and talk about that. Last thing, that just to get my list, I will have hit almost every single thing on the list, which if you know anything about, and we'll talk about Capricorn on letter day C, if you know anything about Capricorn energy, we like a good checklist. And we like to be able to check the things off. Accordion book, check. We made it. Talked about art and artists, and that's going to be an ongoing thing that will show up. Authenticity, talked about a little bit. Acrylic paints, astrology a little bit. The Life Alchemy Academy, apple a day, the ADD, ADHD thingy bop. A little bit about Aries, and a little bit about, oh no, didn't talk about Aquarius, but we'll circle back to that. I'll just put a little circle around it. I'm going to end us with an affirmation. And the last, I will say a little something about Amherst Writers because it's another thing I'm super proud of. Super proud of from last year is I became a facilitator for the Amherst Writers Method. And I feel very, very honored to be a part of that group. And it's another way that I'm going to be bringing some writing. I mean, yeah, I already do writing classes in my community, but this is a different kind of methodology. And so I'll be bringing some of that to our community as well this year. And so, yeah, I've got a lot of beautiful things on the horizon, and I'm excited about the journey I had to go through over the last couple of years to get myself to this place. Some other things that will be coming up as we move forward, but I want to just name here. They're in the description. Once this is saved, you'll be able to see them in the description. But Sacred Maker Soul Retreat, I would love to have you all join me and meet in person. It is at Squam Lake in New Hampshire in June and of this year. And I would love to see you there. We've got some amazing teachers. We've got Colleen Atara. We've got Tiffany Gulf Smith. We've got Deanna Strahan Wilson. For the first time will be teaching. Tiffany is a tried and true, and Colleen has taught there every time, other than when they both were artists in residence there, but they've taught there for me. Both amazing mixed media artists. We've got Deanna, who's teaching watercolor, nature-inspired collage portraits, which if you don't know her work, it is fantabulous. Trust me when I say you want to learn from her. We have Amanda Hawkins Bittner, who is teaching abstract landscapes. We've got Cindy Gilstrap, who's teaching all things fabric, painty, journaly, stitching stuff. We have Lisa Shepard Stewart, who is the owner of Cultured Expressions Fabric Shop in New Jersey. She's coming up to teach a freestyle quilting class, and a quilted landscapes class. Um, why do I feel like, oh, Tiffany's teaching. I didn't say what she was teaching. Tiffany's teaching eco dyeing on one day, and on the other day she's teaching jelly plate printing. All things. You will leave with some fabulous stuff working with Tiff. And Colleen's teaching um, she's like a visual storyteller kind of thing, and she does a lot of art journaling and bits and pieces of your life being brought together in an art journal. It is amazing. We've got Rachel Barclay, who is teaching Sashiko 2 levels, a beginner sort of class, and then a class that even if you are a beginner, Rachel's such an amazing teacher that she will be able to help you through that second day. She's teaching Intro to Sashiko that first day, and then that second day she's teaching Hanafuken. She's teaching you how to make a flower cloth for your home. I think I'm going to be in that class. I don't know yet. I'll let you know. And then we have Amanda, who's teaching abstract landscapes both days. I said Lisa's still teaching quilting 101 on the first, or freestyle quilting 101 on the first day, and the second day quilted landscapes. And then we have Cindy Gilstrap teaching the same thing both days. Her fabric, stitchy, she does some amazing stuff with fabric, and I know her. In your kits, you're going to have some beautiful vintage fabrics because she has been collecting them for years, and she's such a generous soul. I guarantee you there will be some vintage scraps in your kit in her class. I just know it. And I keep doing the count, and then I'm like, off. Deanna, last. Deanna Strahan Wilson, who many of you might know from Let's Face It. She is Kara Bullock's sister, and she teaches in that program, and just lovely, amazing art. And she's going to be teaching the same thing both days. And so you get 2 teachers, one on that Thursday and one on that Friday. You come on Wednesday. We have knitting and stitching circles in the evening where we all just sit around, and if it's cool enough, we light a fire and we hang out in a big circle and just knit and stitch. And some people are sketching, some people are doing bargello, some people are just all sorts of things, whatever your thing is. Some people are just sitting and chatting, having a cup of tea. But it is a lovely time. And then we have meals together each day. Everything's included except your travel. And it is just a lovely and amazing place. If you don't know Squam Lake up in New Hampshire, check it out. It is fabulous. It is where they filmed On Golden Pond. And it is just, it's magical. So I hope I get to meet you there. If I don't, I'll see you back here tomorrow. I can't say that all of these will be this long. We've been on about 2 hours here. What I had not anticipated that. But I know also I was raised by a chatty Gemini, and I can talk. And sometimes it's nervous chatter, but I definitely can talk. So thank you all for being here. I hope to see you more days than not. And I will be back tomorrow. I don't know what time, probably later in the afternoon, but earlier than I was today. And tomorrow is day B, and I'll give you a little sneak peek. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about bookbinding. I'm going to be talking about business ownership. I might even bring out my Bargello and show you what I've been doing with Bargello. And what else do I have on the B list? Oh, I can't read my own writing, y'all. Okay, so that's a sneak peek. Bookbinding, business ownership, Bargello, and 2 other things that I cannot read because I don't have my glasses on, and I will read them later. And see you tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me. I look forward to seeing you. If you're here and you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so that we can meet you in the chat. You need to have been subscribed for at least 24 hours. So get over there, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on my next vlog. Thanks, y'all. Bye.